Welcome to our 10-week exam video lesson. This one's going to again be short and sweet, just like the previous exam video. I'm just going to go over what's going to be on the exam and give you a couple of examples in one video for you to watch instead of having to kind of fish through the previous videos. So for your technique activity for the exam, all that you're going to be doing is the 5 types of 7th chords activity on page 135 in the keys of G, A, and B. And for that one, you can definitely use some of the activities from our previous unit to help warm you up for doing the different types of 7th chords. And again, my recommendation would be to focus either on the quality of the intervals going up, so the pattern of major and minor thirds in the chords, or focus on the triad quality and then the outer 7th quality. So like a major 7th chord is a major triad, major 7th. A dominant 7th is major triad, minor 7th, and so on and so forth. So I'm not even going to go through that one because I feel like that one is pretty simple, and you can absolutely, of course, reference any of the pages and warm-up activities that we have in the book to go over that one for you. So what we're going to have in terms of content from the units for the exam is you're going to again have a few choices for solo rep. So your first choice would be the minuet in C major on page 84. So I'll go ahead and just demonstrate this one through for you. This is one to just be careful with your fingering so you have a few kind of big leaps in the left hand. So here we go. 1, ready, go. Excellent job. So for the exam, you definitely want to do the repeats that they have. For the little trill in measure 19, you can omit that if you want to. That's a little bit tricky. And if you want to include it, all you're going to do is for the right hand, it's going to be E, G, B, B, A, B, A, and then into the G in the next measure. So you're just going to go B, A, B, A, 3, 2, 3, 2. It doesn't have to be crazy fast. So it's, it can go about like, if you're going at a slow tempo, it's really not going to be too crazy. If you're going really fast, it's going to be a lot faster. So just something to consider. I would say that, if you can do the song at a fast tempo, if you can perform this piece at a quick tempo and you can't get that trill in there, don't worry about it. Just leave it out, and that'll be just fine. So then we'll also have the next option is the 7th Street Blues on 96 to 97. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. Ready, go. Don't forget the fermatas. So for this one, the expressive markings and all of that kind of stuff are definitely something that you want to keep in mind and maintain throughout this one. I also performed this one with a little bit of a swing on the 8th notes. It says at the top, don't swing the 8th notes, but I think it sounds better to swing the 8th notes a little bit. So you can absolutely choose which one you want to do. You can play them totally straight, or you can play them with a little bit of swing to it. In the weeks unit for this one, I believe that I played this one with straight 8th notes. So if you want to kind of hear an example of that, you can definitely go back and look at that one, or you can just play it however works best for you. And then we'll go ahead and look at the next solo rep option, which is on page 108. And that is going to be our prelude in C major. 1, 2, ready, go. So this one is nice and short and sweet if you do it at a good tempo. Same thing with this one. We've got these little turns in the starting in measure 9, and it's just G, F sharp, G, lower G. So you're just doing that really quick, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1. And if you can't get that in, I would prefer that you play this at a, a little bit more of a fast tempo, even if you can't include those little turns. But if you can, definitely include them, and it would sound very nice to do that also. And so just to clarify, those are your 3 solo rep options. So only 3 this time instead of 4. There was the solo rep, the etude in unit 5. That was just like so much easier than the other 3 that it would sort of be unfair to include that as an option, I think, because it's like half as difficult as the other ones. And I know you guys might hate me for that, but I wanted to make sure that it was a little bit more even, so you guys can choose one of those 3 options. So then the next thing that you're going to do is the harmonization with 2-hand accompaniment on page 112. So I'll go ahead and play through the chords on this one for you. This one is, again, a little bit more, we have a chord change every 2 beats in this one, whereas typically in the other harmonizations, we've had a little bit of longer time with each chord. So just something to keep in mind with this one. You definitely want to take this one at a tempo where you can play the chord changes quickly enough. So here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. F, D minor 7, G minor, C7, F, F7, B flat, and F, D minor, G minor 7, C7, D minor, B flat, C7, F, F, D7, G minor, C7, F, F7, B flat, F, D minor, G minor 7, A7, D, B flat, C, F. So for the accompaniment part on this one, you guys have a little bit more freedom in terms of choices that you want to make for the accompaniment part. Typically, if you want to go up or down in the 7th chords, especially, which notes do you want to include and how do you want to invert those in the right hand? That is totally up to you. That is something that you can decide, and you can kind of play around and see what you like best. So I will also go through and play, the other thing. I think that when they have the octave sign on that note at the end of each line, I think they're wanting you to cross your right hand over your left hand and go up. I think that sounds crappy. So I jump down and I cross right hand over and play a bass note. You totally don't have to do that. You can absolutely, my cat is getting a cactus. Okay, hang on one second. So you can do whatever you think sounds best. So here we go. Let's go ahead and give just the melody part a try. 1, ready, go. F, D minor 7, G minor, C7, F, F7, B flat, F, D minor, G minor 7, C7, D minor, B flat, C7, F, F, D minor 7, G minor, C7, F, F7, B flat, F, D minor, G minor 7, A7, D minor, B flat, C7, F. Great, so there's that, and you'll just do the accompaniment part. And then the last thing that we have is Danny Boy on page 115, a SSA choral excerpt. So what you'll want to do in this one is go through and play each part separately. So play just the soprano 1, then just the soprano 2, then the 2 soprano parts together, then the alto part alone, then the soprano 1 and alto, then the soprano 2 and alto, and then all 3 parts together. And the alto line will play the left hand and the soprano will be played with the right hand, both soprano parts. Now, that's their general guideline. If you find that it works better for you to play left hand on some of those soprano notes, go for it. just mark it, and then my best recommendation would be to make sure that whatever you do is consistent. That's going to be the most helpful thing, is if you choose which hand plays which notes and then you stay really consistent with those choices. If you're kind of going back and forth, that's going to make it a little bit more difficult. The next thing that you'll want to mark is the unisons. And there's actually a fair amount of unison in this one, especially like between the soprano 1, soprano 2 parts. There are several places where they're playing in unison, and even with the alto part. And then also maybe just kind of marking some of the general directions and interaction between the parts would be a really great thing to do. And so then I'll go ahead and demonstrate this for you. Also, before you practice and you're like, well, this sounds weird, this excerpt starts at the "Oh, come ye back, da 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 da." Because every time I play this, I'm like, this doesn't sound like Danny Boy. And then I'm like, oh, this is the middle of it. It's not the beginning. So just something to keep in mind. Doesn't really make a huge difference, but kind of good to know. So here we go from the beginning. 1 and 2, ready, go. And I think that ending sounds a little bit weird, but that's what we've got. So again, as you'll notice, if you're just watching, I kind of go back and forth with playing the soprano 2 and alto together with the left hand and playing the soprano 1 and soprano 2 together in the right hand. And that's just what works best for me. And you can do whatever works best for you, but again, make sure that you keep it consistent, and that'll be what's most helpful for you. Also, that is a perfect, you can go even slower than that. This is a more complicated part, just having that you're having to read 3 lines together, so feel free to play it nice and slowly, and it's really okay to do it pretty slow, especially if your rhythm is pretty consistent. So that is all you've got for the exam. Is going to be the 5 types of 7th chords technique activity, 1 of the solo reps, the harmonization part for Auld Lang Syne, and then this score reading right here. So if you have anything that you have any questions about, if you want a demo of the technique activity for this week, if you're just having any troubles with that, absolutely just let me know, or schedule time in office hours, and I'm happy to demonstrate anything for you that maybe didn't get shown on the video, or if you want any of the solo reps with just 1 hand part or something like that, just so that you can hear it, absolutely let me know, and I'm happy to provide that. And that's it. So good luck, happy practicing, and I'll see you next time.